Let me get this here. Here we go. Okay, a couple of things that we're going to note here that the other contractor did here. He installed the electrical on the return box, which is a no-no. He did at one point run the BX cable through the casing, but he did change that out the last time he was here. He corrected that. 5. He did disconnect all of his wires that he did put back eventually. Okay, the drain line in here. Okay, this one's in right. His other drain line up here, per the manufacturer's recommendations, this is not the way this is installed. We are retaining water right here. Can't see that, I'm in the line. Right here in the line. Okay. I don't know if I can see that. Here we go, you can see it now. Which is backing up. This should flow out into the condensate pump, which we were not doing. Here he did have a kink in the line, which did not allow proper flow of water out of the system whenever the condensate pump kicked on. He did correct that eventually. Temperature rise out of the system. Here we have roughly about 10 inches or so above the top of the heater. There's not enough airflow. Again, our pressure in the system was way too high. Pegging out on the meter, he's only getting roughly about 10 inches before that air has to turn, and it's all on a 90-degree turn. Not to mention he tries to reduce here, and that reduction is not the proper reduction. You should always give yourself roughly 18 inches as you reduce down on any duct system to allow for proper airflow so that you don't get a lot of turbulence. Again, when we did and you should never tie you onto the back of here, which is what he did. Never a good idea, because this is going to receive the majority of your pressure. What did happen again was when we tested the pressure in the system here, we were pegging out, but our high temperature reading on here was pretty high too. Manufacturer doesn't want to see the temperature rise out of here to be too high or too low, and clearly we were. So the fan needs to be adjusted. The fan speed on that needs to be adjusted. Here we just have too many bends and turns on the system. Again, for every turn or every bend, you're reducing pressure, so we have huge pressure drops through the system, not allowing for proper airflow. Okay. Over here on his humidifier, see if I can get a good picture in there. It doesn't come in too good, but there's a lot of gaps. He didn't seal good enough around the joints to allow for that air to stay in the system, and he used on the humidifier this aluminum kind of plastic fill and not real metal duct, which should be done to allow for airflow and humidity in and out of the system for proper humidity control throughout the house, and we don't have that. Okay. He tied into the duct system in some new areas here, here. Here again, he did try to seal, but we have a lot of gapping around here where it's not a proper seal. Okay. And he tied into some other areas, a few other areas. Again, not counting for pressure differences in the system. He just tied in, never took any measurements. So our pressure rating or reading is off throughout the whole space. There are some other areas upstairs. He ran 2 ducts up to the 2nd floor, apparently unwillingly. Apparently he didn't want to do it for the homeowner, but the general contractor made him. Comes out with flex right here. He comes out with a flex line right there, which goes through this soffit, and there's a return outside. And then he has an open supply, I believe that is, yes, an open supply right there coming to this room. Again, no measurement was ever taken, just duct work was installed. He did try to seal the joints. Looks a lot better up here than it did in the basement. But again, if there was no testing, no calculation, how do we know if this is the right size to move the proper flow of air? Nothing was ever done. And then we'll go up to the 3rd floor. And then in here, it's very difficult to see, but it's just a mess of flex and metal duct here. And he used the cardboard painting style, which is never a good idea, never recommended for doing a return. And then he tied right into this. With that, There's no real kind of air sealing done around there, so you're not really moving any kind of air. And everything is not, all the flex duct that's in there is not installed to recommended standards. Under 10 feet, actually I believe it's under 14, excuse me, correction, under 14 feet, should be as straight as possible and as tight as possible with wide sweeping bends, not a short bend as this one is and the other ones that you cannot see in the back there due to space and lighting issues. And that's pretty much it. A couple other things here that we want to note that this gentleman did is, one, you can see the pad, the condensing pad that it's sitting on. It's not level. He's got it hanging off on two of the sides, so it hasn't been leveled. In addition to that, he's using a wood plank here to level this, and that's a no-no because as this rots away, this is going to fall down and become unlevel. Here he installed this. Here's the disconnect. There's the wire cable. It's not attached per code to the wall, and it shouldn't be any more than 6 feet long. Here the line set is pretty much on the ground. There's a little gap, but got to be careful with that because of vibration and shaking and stuff too. You don't really want that against the ground. Never cut his wire ties. Never sealed the hole. I can stick my finger in there. Okay, so animals, dirt, debris, rain, snow, anything can get behind there. Not a good